This is Mariana's Press, journalism by journalists, with you at the center as we cover the news and sports stories here at home and across the region. Fact-driven, multimedia, truthful coverage. What is your vision? Where are the limitations? Where are the boundaries? Online at marianaspress.com, on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and WhatsApp as it happens.
I'm out of here. I'm sorry, I'm out. I don't want to tolerate this thing anymore. This is too much.
We ask the hard questions.
What about those who say, our economy
It's an
is
instant gratification to us.
We practice responsible journalism, taking local coverage to new heights, powered by you. This is Mariana's Press, where every voice finds its story. Half a day from Saipan. We are live. Yes, we just came from Tinian. Mark Robigo reporting behind the camera. Thanks, Mark. I'm Tomas Manglonia. Thank you for joining us. We have been reporting now on our third day, reporting on the revised draft EIS for the CJMT, a monumental project that really has been a year now, a decade, maybe even more, has had the attention of the CNMI because of its impact here, and that's what tonight is about. It's about learning about the environmental impact statement, getting comments from you, the community, and that's what we saw on Tinian on day one, Tinian on day two, and now tonight and tomorrow on Saipan, and then we'll also be on Rhoda. That's Friday at 3 p.m., weather permitting. But we thank you for joining us and following us as we report on this very important topic. And so you're looking at a live look again of the Crown Plaza Resort Saipan, and this is where all of it will happen. This is where the military will meet the community. And when you walk in, as you can see here, you'll be asked to sign in. There are information pamphlets available in English, Chamorro, and Carolinian. We reported on a bit of that on Tinian. And then just to show you again, so the presentations don't change, but of course there's a different community and host of people who will be coming tonight living on Saipan. And so we can already see one community member engaging with the representatives, talking about the proposed action, learning about the alternatives, the environmental analysis, the proposed action components, the military lease area range complex. So these are the same posters that you've been seeing all week, and you can see people studying them, learning about them, and ultimately going to provide comment, which we'll show you later how you can do. And so just follow me down here. We'll show you the rest of the room. We have posters about public access, also about noise, one of the major issues that was brought up by Tinian residents yesterday, so you can learn about that, how they're trying to mitigate that. The biological resources, water resources and utilities, and then cultural resources. And so, Mark, if you can just follow me down here, this is what it really comes down to for tonight. There are different ways to comment. And so, in fact, I think it'd be great to show you exactly what they're looking for. So this is the public meeting comment form that you can fill out. It says here, please submit comments on the revised draft environmental impact statement and potential effects to historic properties pursuant to Section 106 of the National Historic Preservation Act. And so there are different ways you can submit comments, written comments in person at one of the public meetings. That was on Tinian, now Saipan, then Rhoda, through the project website. So this is actually where all the information is. CNMI Joint Military Training EIS.com. CNMI Joint Military Training EIS.com. You can even mail it. Postmark no later than August 20th. That's when comments are due. And so, you can put your name, submit it. Yesterday, we interviewed one resident on Tinian who said she wrote about 13 different comments that she had. So no limit to the comments you can give. This is where you can write your comments, place them in the box. And I think one of the new things tonight, Mark, that didn't happen on Tinian was that there's going to be a court reporter on a computer who will basically transcribe your spoken comments. So this is the section here that you can provide your spoken comments. Let's say you don't want to write it all down yourself, right? So I assume that's what that's for. And so this, again, is a live look at the room where Mariana's Press is on day 3. And stay tuned with us. We're going to try and interview as many residents as we can. And again, if you want to see our past coverage, you can go to marianaspress.com and see our last 2 days on Tinian. So we're going to take a bit of a break, but thanks for being with us, and we will continue to bring you live coverage of this event. Thanks so much. This is Mariana's Press, journalism by journalists, with you at the center as we cover the news and sports stories here at home and across the region. Fact-driven, multimedia, truthful coverage. What is your vision? Where are the limitations? Where are the boundaries? Online at marianaspress.com, on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and WhatsApp as it happens.
I'm out of here. I'm sorry, I'm out. I don't want to tolerate this thing anymore. This is too much.
We ask the hard questions.
What about
Some
those
say
who say, our economy
It's an
is down?
instant gratification to us.
We practice responsible journalism, taking local coverage to new heights, powered by you. This is Mariana's Press, where every voice finds its story. Today, thank you for joining us. You're taking a live look at the Crown Plaza Resort Saipan, where we are reporting on night 3 after being on Tinian for 2 nights for the revised draft EIS for the Joint Military Training Plan. We are already seeing people trickle in. The event officially starts in 6 minutes, but we are seeing different people walk in already. So let's go ahead and just give you a live look as we see the community engage with the DoD officials to learn about, what's happening and what the revised plans are. Again, these plans being revisited since they were first introduced in that version in 2015. And so let's go ahead and just show you around. Yeah. And of course, we plan to speak with many community members as we go through the night. And you can already see a lot of those discussions happening right now. We don't want to get in the way, so we certainly won't ask any of them right now, but we will once everyone starts to reach the end of the presentation, and we'll give you these live images. So we're going to go ahead and load the stories from Tinian and share that with you so that you can, as we wait for more people to come in and get their comments, we'll also have the comments on Tinian that we recorded also brought to your screen right now. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll be right back after this. Today, if you're just joining us, you're taking a live look at the Crown Plaza Resort Saipan, where community members have entered to listen on the plans for the revised draft EIS. This is something we've been reporting on all through this past few days, and so you're seeing now the Saipan community being willing to talk, uh, coming to listen and also voice their view, right? This is a two-way dialogue, and we're seeing more people come in tonight as they deliver public comments regarding these plans. And so we actually uploaded the videos from Tinian, and we'll go ahead and get that ready for you to show. But for now, this is a live look at what's happening here as people come in from Saipan, and we also see some people from Guam who are here to learn and voice their view on the issues. And so while we get those videos from Tinian loaded up, let's go ahead and just leave you with this live look of the Crown Plaza Resort Saipan as we wait for to interview some people. Again, we don't want to interrupt people as they're learning about the plans. And so we're going to get some interviews ready. So once people have got a chance to go through all of the posters, and we'll be live. We'll continue to be live, and you'll get to hear from them very soon. Good day, everyone. We're now joined with one of the community members here, and we're going to get his point of view on the process unfolding now on Saipan. We were just on Tinian. So, do you mind just for the community introduce your full name and your ties to the scene, Mike?
Sure. My name is Dave Cabrera. I'm here in my personal capacity, but I also work for the Division of Coastal Resources Management, founder of the Talaza Club and founder of Fatsalani. So I have very much interested in the scope of this new proposal or this iteration of the proposal. I do very much have some questions, and I'm hoping today I can get some answers soon.
All right. Were you here back in 2015?
I was.
And so you know some of the concerns. Maybe that's informing some of your questions. I guess, yeah, do you mind sharing what some of your questions are?
Sure. My biggest concern is public access, right? There's obviously some significant cultural sites on the northern half of Tinian. There will be closures and public access closures to those cultural sites. I want to know what the frequency is and how they communicate those closures to the local community.
And I know it's often mentioned in 2015, 30,000 public comments. Are you seeing the same type of engagement this time around? What are you and your peers, kind of talking about?
I think I'm seeing a lot more engagement this time around, especially from the youth in our community. I've been seeing some really active college students and even some kids younger than that in smaller circles talking about the impact that this endeavor will have on our local community and the resources in our local community.
Okay, anything else you want to mention about tonight or moving forward?
I'm optimistic that there has been significant change from the previous iteration of the proposal to the one they're presenting to us now. But I still think that we're not doing our best as a community to fully understand the scope that they're proposing. And I think that's because it's really difficult to unpack all the information that they're providing to us. And my one hope is that eventually they'll get to a point where they find a better way to make it consumable to the general public so that we can fully grasp what's going on.
And that perspective was something that we heard on Tinian as well. One resident there said they wanted an extension. So is that something you would also support? You're calling for an extension to have more time to review?
Absolutely, an extension I think would be helpful, but I think the fundamental issue is that we're not constantly part of the design of these iterations. We're given an opportunity like tonight. We have 2 hours to, if you have a 9 to 5, you likely have not unpacked any of the information that's provided until just now, seeing some of the visual aids and being able to talk to some of these folks one-on-one. But this is not nearly enough time to digest what's happening, and I think that we need more engagement throughout the entire design of these iterations.
All right, thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Of course,
Thank you so much. All right, and so there you heard it. Some public comments to the media, and now we also see some peaceful demonstration from some participants here as well. And so, Mark, why didn't you join me here? We heard that same sentiment the first night, right? Someone asking for an extension, right, to review.
Yes, they said it's not the time frame is not enough for them to read more than 1,000-page documents. So yes, that's a concern.
And I know one of the comments too was there's a lot of different public comments open up. So I think the resident said we'd be reading all the time, right? So I think that's an interesting comment that we've heard so far on Saipan and Tinian. And we are seeing again some peaceful protests here. Some signs reading "Protest is sacred, protect free speech." From the Marianas to Palestine, occupation is a crime. That sign reads, "Ceasefire now, free Palestine." Another sign says, "We refuse to be a first strike community." So on the other side of the room, we're also seeing some demonstration as well. We'll see if anyone would like to talk about it. We'll go ahead and join Andrew Roberto in his interview.
Way in the early 2000s, and I guess from my experience as a student of environmental sciences, a lot of the major pressing issues in the world related to famine, climate change, sea level rise, increased carbon emissions. A lot of them always trace back to early colonization, and now in the contemporary sphere, it all traces back to one of the largest emitters of greenhouse gas emissions in the world, that being the United States military and the military-industrial complex as a whole. And as a son of the Marianas, I don't want to be another cog in the machine that profits off of the deaths of millions of innocent civilians across the world and profits off of warfare overseas. And bringing this project down to Tinian, they have alternatives related to increasing the projects tenfold by 15% or by 5%. We're of the belief that there should be no increase whatsoever in military activity down in Marianas, because we're always depicted as the tip of the spear for America's military force, when really I'd like to advocate more as a bridge for peace, rather than being the forefront of America's drive to sustain more and more profits from warfare. I prefer if we were the face of a more peaceful movement throughout the world. So we're here today just to show that we don't want any increased military activity within the Marianas. We want a space where indigenous peoples have the rights and the autonomy to secure our own sacred lands and waters, and at the same time be the forefront for advocacy for world peace.
Can I ask you something, Anifat? Now, the government of the CNMI has been trying to pivot towards increased militarization as a way to benefit economically. I mean, how do you feel about that?
I feel that it's a deal with the devil. You know, in several meetings that we sat through, including one in Rota, which saw the military proposing a project to install a new airfield base within the island of Rota. The DoD officials at that meeting said it clearly themselves that there were no plans at all. That there were no plans or no accommodations in place for actually improving Rota's economy. So how are we supposed to, how we're not to believe that same could be said about Tinian or Saipan? There's this promise that, with more soldiers coming in, there's more income flowing into the hotels, flowing into local businesses. But that's just a temporary fix. That's not a long-term sustainable economic plan. What we need to focus more on is our own sustainability culture. Like, we've managed to survive for thousands of years off of food security, off of fishery security, by accepting more military personnel into our lands and propping up as, it's okay, they're bringing a good economy. We're essentially making a deal with the devil, and that we'll become over-reliant on the federal government as a whole. We'll be too reliant on this military economy to the point where we'll become so complacent that we'll just give up any amount of land for the promise of a slightly higher GDP. It's all smoke and mirrors propped up by the U.S. military's outreach department.
Anifat, what can you say about the CJMT and the proposed military training with the Iran war in the background?
I feel like this is just going to make things even worse for the Marianas with overseas conflicts, with tensions going on between Iran and Israel, and the U.S. sort of inserting itself into this conflict. It's only propping us even higher to be a greater risk of being first strike communities. We'll be the first ones to be attacked should the conflict come into the Pacific. So really, I am strongly opposed to the project as a whole, because the more we make our presence known as a military community, the bigger target we put on ourselves for more nations to target us should the U.S. continue its overseas conflicts. So frankly, I feel like the project should just not go forth at all.
What's your message to our leaders, our delegate to Congress and Governor Arnold R. Palacios?
Before you look to the fires of war, please take the time to just look into your backyard and see that all the economic value you'll ever need is just right in the jungles behind you. We don't need to we shouldn't be profiting off of the deaths of millions of people overseas, people who have no ill will towards our little islands, but are constantly suffering under constantly suffering under the iron fist of a nation that profits off of war like the United States.
Thank you, Anufat.
So I'm here. I think basically my sign says it all. Here to fight the war machine. I mean, it's obvious to see the connections, what's going on here, and the headlines all around the world. Most especially Gaza, which is they're trying to silence as much as possible right now, and so we can easily see that more militarization is not the answer. It's through our history here in the Marianas and through what's going on right now in Gaza. It's very simple. The solution is very simple, and it's not militarization. It's more diplomacy. It's more giving back the land to the people, the real caretakers of the land who really cherish and nourish and would die for it. And that's what it's all about. It's not giving the land to more training for more killing. And that's what I'm here for.
So I'm sorry, could you clarify something? Are you here as a resident, or are you here with any organizations, or?
I'm here as a resident, and I'm also here to support my comrades from Marianas for Palestine.
Salim, can you talk about the Iran war right now? The U.S. just bombed the nuclear facilities of Iran, and in this backdrop, the CJMT. What do you think about the whole thing?
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, it's terrible, and it's not more bombing. We don't need more bombing. They had the chance to solve this diplomatically, but they chose war, and it's putting us on a path where we're here as a target, sitting in the Marianas, and that's how they use us. They've been using us, and it's time to fight back. It's time to say enough is enough, and we don't want more militarization. We want them pretty much out of here.
What's your message to our leaders, our Congresswoman in Washington, D.C., and Governor Arnold I. Palacios?
Do something, stop getting comfy in your chairs, fight for the people, fight for the press, be a voice for the oppressed people, and free Palestine.
All right, and so those are some of your first interviews from the community. We will continue to bring you live coverage throughout tonight. Stay tuned as we speak with more people later tonight. This is Marianas Press, journalism by journalists, with you at the center as we cover the news and sports stories here at home and across the region. Fact-driven, multimedia, truthful coverage. What is your vision? Where are the limitations? Where are the boundaries? Online at marianaspress.com, on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and WhatsApp as it happens.
I'm out of here. I'm sorry, I'm out. I don't want to tolerate this thing anymore. This is too much.
We ask the hard questions.
What about
Some
those
say
who say, our economy
it's an
is down?
instant gratification to us.
We practice responsible journalism, taking local coverage to new heights, powered by you. This is Marianas Press, where every voice finds its story.
have something directly for you, because you talked so much about respect in your opening speech, because I really appreciate these opportunities when you have your subject matter experts come in, and it's a great way to better understand what's happening and talk to the leadership. But there is a huge gap between what your leadership is saying and what your service personnel on the ground are saying. And I think you should know that, because if you, and I have many times, I've lived on Tinian for 4 years, if you ask people at a fiesta that you meet casually about, say, biosecurity, they say, oh, it's just a matter of time. You better enjoy the birds while you can, because snakes are coming to Tinian. If you ask about the beaches, they say, oh, enjoy. I'm so glad I'm here now, because if I was here 4 years, whoosh, beaches are going to be terrible. So it's a little bit hard to bridge the gap between what leadership is saying here in terms of the care and respect that they're going to give the island when the folks representing your organization are saying the opposite. So I just think that that's something that you should know. Obviously not something necessarily related to the EIS, but I think it's reflective.
My name is Schneider. I see some overall differences in the first time you all were here, the CJMT. The original was massive and it was extremely scary for some of us. The impact is incredible. We didn't truly appreciate the impact until now, because we see what it means to us every day and what it means at a personal level. So we had a little bit of taste on it, from sudden increase of people, sudden increase of cars and bicycles and whatever. I can't believe that the bank ran out of cash. I said, how can banks do that? I thought you keep a lot of money there. But you understand the point that I'm trying to make is that when we see things in papers, because we are not as exposed to the rest of the world, Tinian is by golly one of the best kept secrets. So, many times we have a hard time trying to understand what does it all mean on a daily basis. I live pretty close to an area where they were digging the aviation fuel. I just did not realize that they were going to make an incredible amount of noise. So I'm out there saying, shut up, and trying to take a nap. But you see what that disturbance does to the people. We have ample time, of course, to make the changes, but we could never visualize it because of the enormity and the complexity of all the issues that's associated with this project. So that's the overall. Now, we are now inundated with MIT, MERC, CJMT bodies, and it's piled up on a weekly basis. Last week was a presentation of progress. This week we have to revise, and then there's another one tomorrow. So we don't do anything other than read. That's a lot of imposition into our lives. And yeah, we do have a lot of things to say, but generally I would like to see an extension of this timeline. We don't have, other than the library, the organization in which I belong to, we offer translation to people. And they can write it in tomorrow, and we offer to translate it in English. But we need a place, and we are looking for that place to provide that service. So when you do something like this, it has to come ahead of time with the translation version. And please use the CNMI or founder-free rules, because we can't read Guam tomorrow. They're very, very different. And we always call each other, what are they trying to say? What is this? So please communicate with us in the lingo in which we are familiar with. So overall, that is, I've seen a lot of changes, and it would be nice to have a smaller group discussion on this. Thank you.
It's been a long ride. 10 years. I was here. That night, the majority of our people, especially the RPs, came out here and said their piece and said what they perceived back then. Fast forward, and that time I was a congressman. 2 years, 3 years later, I became mayor. We engaged then, and we're still engaging now. It's not an absolute. This love that you see is not absolute. We have the opportunity to engage. We have the opportunity to sit down and talk about it. And that's what we've been doing for the last 10 years. And I offer my sincere appreciation to the team, Jackie, and your folks from DC, Admiral Shimono. It's been an honor to work with you and be involved with this CJMT. The first thing when we met, when I became mayor, was 4 things that I expected from your folks. Don't mess around for environment. Give opportunity to our folks to get hired. Also create business. And just be honest about it. That's why I asked. So far,
And we are cutting out from that video on Tinian because we are going to interview someone in the room. We're live at the Crown Plaza Resort Saipan, and we are at the first meeting on Saipan. There's another one happening tomorrow, but we are about to interview John Gonzalez, and so let's go ahead and jump in here. We're live.
Okay, John, what do you think about the CJMT and the revised draft environmental impact statement from the military?
Well, first of all, I think it's important that we recognize that the unprecedented hundreds of thousands of pages of comments that were submitted in the original CJMT EIS back in 2015 was dramatically revised, which is what we are now presented with. So one example is from 14 training sites, they're now proposing to have only 2 sites. And I think it's fair that the US DoD recognized the paramount importance, non-negotiable importance of our access to our oceans for sustainable fishing and living, so that we can anticipate and be able to prepare if and when war breaks and ships don't come, that we're able to access our fishing grounds and the marine mammals for our food, for food security. In addition to having access to our forests and trees and traditional trees for medicine and for food, in addition to also having access to our lands to make sure that we raise the livestock needed for our survival. So I think that's a paramount importance that this current revised EIS must continue and preserve. We're also very concerned about the destruction. To what extent would these trainings, and even more so amplified when war breaks, to our environment, as volatile as vulnerable as it is. We can't even drink our water, the aquifers, the waterlands. And let's not forget the World War II, right? When Japan and the United States dumped all of their military munitions and whatnot and left for us to continue to live with those. And how do we explain the unprecedented number of cancer cases in our islands, right? The PCBs that have been flooding out and intercepting, infiltrating our waterlands and our oceans and beaches and our homes that we live in. We need to be mindful of those things because they're irreparable. And how do we put a price tag to those? No. Do we leverage and negotiate with the United States and say, you put in $50 million or $150 million, whatever, in reserves to compensate for the irreparable impact to our people, to our livelihoods, to our survival, to our environment, and to the very, very sacred cultural homeland that we rely for our living as native peoples, and in addition to the residents who call Luta, Tini, and Saipan and the Northern Islands home.
How important are these kinds of public meetings for the community?
Quintessentially important. I mean, absolutely welcome, so that people have the opportunity to interact and understand and learn and be able to be heard. So I think that's a hallmark of democracy, right? Is to welcome and be open-minded and be constructive. And I also urge our people to be very professional and very respectful and reverent, and to be tolerant of everybody, so that every comment and input is valued and taken into consideration. Absolutely, especially for the future generation.
Thank you, John. Okay.
My name is David M. Sablan.
Uncle Dave, what's your comment on the increasing militarization of the CNMI, especially with the CNMI joint military training exercises going to happen now with this thing?
You're talking about what's my impression of the CNMI as it is now?
The militarization with the military coming and the trainings that's going to happen.
Well, the thing is, they obviously have a very valuable reason why they should come into the CNMI, which includes the three islands, Rota, Tinian, and Saipan. Of course, the Northern Mariana Islands would all have to be included. Let me put it this way. I support the whole movement because they're not here for their own good. They're here to take care of us and protect us from any external matters that might damage these islands. So to answer your question, yes, I support the movement of military into the Northern Mariana Islands because we're now part of the United States and we got to help the United States protect us from any outside element.
Uncle Dave, of course you're a child of war, World War II survivor, and now the U.S. has attacked nuclear facilities in Iran. Could possibly spark a bigger war. What's your thoughts about that attack and the increased war footing of the U.S.?
Well, they have a different motive because in the old days they had to fight and acquire the property, acquire these islands. Nowadays, they want to play the defense part of the whole situation. And they want to protect the islands and its people and try to minimize any outside element that might drastically change the political status of all these islands. And therefore, this is one of the items that I have in my mind to make sure that they are welcome to a certain extent. I don't want them to take the whole island. I just want a small sum of people that can provide defense and make sure that all of its people that live in the Marianas are well protected from the external element.
Okay. Thank you, Uncle Dave.
Okay.
have something directly for you because you talked so much about respect in your opening speech. Because I really appreciate these opportunities when you have your subject matter experts come in, and it's a great way to better understand what's happening and talk to the leadership. But there is a huge gap between what your leadership is saying and what your service personnel on the ground are saying. And I think you should know that, because if you, and I have many times, I've lived on Tinian for 4 years, if you ask people at a fiesta that you meet casually about, say, biosecurity, they say, oh, it's just a matter of time. You better enjoy the birds while you can, because snakes are coming to Tinian. If you ask about the beaches, they say, oh, enjoy. I'm so glad I'm here now, because if I was here in 4 years, whoosh, beaches are going to be terrible. So it's a little bit hard to bridge the gap between what leadership is saying here in terms of the care and respect that they're going to give the island when the folks representing your organization are saying the opposite. So I just think that that's something that you should know. Obviously not something necessarily related to the EIS, but I think it's reflective.
My name is Schneider. I see some overall differences in the first time you all were here, the CJMT. The original was massive and it was extremely scary for some of us. The impact is incredible. We didn't truly appreciate the impact until now, because we see what it means to us every day and what it means at a personal level. So we had a little bit of taste on it, from sudden increase of people, sudden increase of cars and bicycles and whatever. I can't believe that the bank ran out of cash. I said, how can banks do that? I thought we keep a lot of money in there. But you understand the point that I'm trying to make is that when we see things in papers, because we are not as exposed to the rest of the world, Tinian is, by golly, one of the best kept secrets. So, many times we have a hard time trying to understand what does it all mean on a daily basis. I live pretty close to an area where they were digging the aviation fuel. I just did not realize that they were going to make an incredible amount of noise. So I'm out there saying, shut up, and trying to take a nap. But you see what that disturbance does to the people. We have ample time, of course, to make the changes, but we could never visualize it because of the enormity and the complexity of all the issues that's associated with this project. So that's the overall. Now, we are now inundated with MIT, MERC, CJMT replies, and it's piled up on a weekly basis. This last week was a presentation of progress. This week we have to revise, and then there's another one tomorrow. So we don't do anything other than read. That's a lot of imposition into our lives. And yeah, we do have a lot of things to say, but generally I would like to see an extension of this timeline. We don't have, other than the library, the organization in which I belong to, we offer translation to people. And they can write it in tomorrow, and we offer to translate it in English. But we need a place, and we are looking for that place to provide that service. So when you do something like this, it has to come ahead of time with the translation version. And please use the CNMI or founder-free rules, because we can't read Guam tomorrow. They're very, very different. And we always call each other, heck are they trying to say? What is this? So please communicate with us in the lingo in which we are familiar with. So overall, that is, I've seen a lot of changes, and it would be nice to have a smaller group discussion on this. Thank you.
It's been a long ride. 10 years. I was here. That night, the majority of our people, especially our kids, came out here and said their piece and said what they perceived back then. Fast forward, and that I was a congressman. 2 years, 3 years later, I became mayor. We engaged then, and we're still engaging now. It's not an absolute. This love that you see is not absolute. We have the opportunity to engage. We have the opportunity to sit down and talk about it. And that's what we've been doing for the last 8 years. And I offer my sincere appreciation to the team, Jackie, and all the folks from DC, Amara. It's been hard to work with you and be involved with this CJMT. The first thing when we met, when I became mayor, was 4 things that I expected from your folks. Don't mess around with our environment. Give opportunity to our folks to get hired. Also create business. And just be honest about it. That's why I asked. So far, as far as I know, we've been upfront. We've been having meetings all the way up to the governor and some state science high officials. And we made in our statement that as we move forward, even though if we sign some of this record, if we come to record decisions, some of these things we need to mitigate as we move forward. We just go back and look at divert. We signed off on that. We thought everything is sweet by apple candy. And then now we still have problems. Now we still have situations in the build-up. So I asked again, I made the same ask that as we move forward, give also the municipality the opportunity to mitigate some of these issues that we because like what Florida said, this is a complex build-up and you cannot really foresee how is the shooting range going to look like, you know? I cannot. I've been to shooting ranges in Guam that you guys we went and saw it, but visualizing is not there for me. But I hope that people that are here tonight, please engage. Thank you guys for coming out and having the time to come and engage with all of these things that's going to happen to our island. It is not meant for the leaders to have all the solutions. We need your inputs to all of these issues so that we can properly address it to them. And thank you again for this.
We're the headquarters located in Guam, and I work for those gentlemen, and their area of responsibility includes the CNMI, Guam, and also the freely associated states. So as we go throughout the region and we engage the community, we like to make sure that we're saying thank you for your time, thank you for your presence, coming out and participating in important meetings and having your voice heard. We're here to share information, to listen, take comments, and I encourage the Marine Corps team that's here handling the CJMT, the CNMI Joint Military Training proposal, all of the details and plans that are associated with this environmental impact statement. So thank you for your time, and thank you for coming out. We really appreciate it. We have 2 nights, there's tonight and tomorrow night for Saipan. Very important that you share your thoughts and learn more about the proposed action. I will offer this. The team that's here is very focused on the CJMT proposal, so they're experts at all of the different elements and components that are proposed. But if you have questions, and we heard this a little bit yesterday and the day before in Tinian, if you have some questions about other military activities in the CNMI, being from the region, I pretty much have engaged with the other service components and their proposals. We do have ongoing construction in Tinian, other activities that are different and apart from what the Marine Corps is proposing and you're learning about here tonight. So I could be a resource for that. I will stay in the room. I'll be here throughout the evening and tomorrow. So if you have questions that don't quite fit into the program here for the CJMT, please seek me out. And I'm happy to sit and have a conversation with you and share as much information as I can. Again, thank you for being here tonight. We really appreciate all of your effort to be here this evening, and look forward to a good number of comments being submitted on the revised draft EFS. That's about all I'm going to say this evening. And I do want to introduce Mr. Mark Hashimoto, the Executive Director of Marine Forces Pacific out of Hawaii. He would, I think, also like to make welcoming remarks.
Thanks, Randy. So we are so glad that all of you are here tonight to help us with our 2 objectives. And I'm so happy that you're here to learn more about our project and to provide us with input about our proposed training project so that we can improve the draft environmental impact statement based on the comments that you provide. We are indebted to elected officials, the agencies that we've been working with, and individual members of the community that we have been working with for years. This has been at least 10 years in the making, and those of you, I know a lot of you have been following this for a long time, that what we're proposing tonight is significantly different with much lower impact than what was proposed 10 years ago. And there's one reason, or there's probably a number of reasons, but one of the primary reasons for that was that the voice of the community was heard. So we are indebted to all those folks that we work with, who have worked with us collaboratively to get us to a place where we have a better chance of designing a world-class training area that can work for everyone. Also, thanks to the members of the community who wanted to say how impressed we are with the strength of your culture and your community. What that has done for us is it has reminded us of the connectedness of this place. And it's that thought that has shepherded our conversations over the last decade and got us to a place where we can protect the land for future generations. We know that the people of the CNMI, at least one individual here who in person has seen the horrors of war in this region, and we are so grateful that you are willing to continue to work with us to invest in why we're here, and that is to keep the peace. Over the years that we've been working with the folks in the community, we know and we have heard that there are several functional areas that are of primary concern. They're not the only ones, but they always have come up, and a lot of those are represented in some of the placards here. They're right along here. They're in this first spot. Cultural resources, biological resources, water, noise, and access. I would add to that the input that we've gotten about the impact of our proposed training concept on police, fire, and medical services on Tinian. And we've had great discussions the last 2 nights on Tinian with the community there about this. And as we've had those conversations, we've had a couple of policies. One is no surprises. And there should be no surprises to the members of the agencies that we've been working with for years now, because our policy was we're not going to introduce anything into the concept that we haven't been talking about for at least 1 year. And the second thing is that we approached all of our conversations with policy and the principle of mutual respect. So again, what does success look like for us tonight? Number one is that you have a better understanding of our proposed training concept when you leave than you did when you got here. And the best way to do that is to talk to our experts here on the placards. And secondly, the second thing that would make tonight successful is that we get your comments. Now, if you have a conversation with one of our experts, that doesn't necessarily that won't make it into the record, in fact. The only way that your comments can get into the record are if you come up here, and if you need translator support, we have it up here, and provide it on these comment sheets that we have. We also have the ability to record your input, or you can go home and you have until the beginning of August to provide it through the website, write a letter, send an email, and things of that nature. So there's a lot of different methods to get your input. Again, learn more about our project and provide comments, because that's what we need. Comments that will make our draft EIS better when we publish the final EIS. Thanks for coming, and please continue to interact with all of our folks here. Thank you.
have something directly for you because you talked so much about respect in your opening speech. Because I really appreciate these opportunities when you have your subject matter experts come in, and it's a great way to better understand what's happening and talk to the leadership. But there is a huge gap between what your leadership is saying and what your service personnel on the ground are saying. And I think you should know that, because if you, and I have many times, I've lived on Tinian for 4 years, if you ask people at a fiesta that you meet casually about, say, biosecurity, they say, oh, it's just a matter of time. You better enjoy the birds while you can, because snakes are coming to Tinian. If you ask about the beaches, they say, oh, I'm so glad I'm here now, because if I was here in 4 years, whoosh, beaches are going to be terrible. So it's a little bit hard to bridge the gap between what leadership is saying here in terms of the care and respect that they're going to give the island when the folks representing your organization are saying the opposite. So I just think that that's something that you should know. Obviously not something necessarily related to the EIS, but I think it's reflective.
My name is Roman Schneider. I see some overall differences in the first time you all were here, the CJMT. The original was massive and it was extremely scary for some of us. The impact is incredible. We didn't truly appreciate the impact until now, because we see what it means to us every day and what it means at a personal level. So we had a little bit of taste on it, from sudden increase of people, sudden increase of thought.
This is Mariana's Press, journalism by journalists, with you at the center as we cover the news and sports stories here at home and across the region. Fact-driven, multimedia, truthful coverage. What is your vision? Where are the limitations? Where are the boundaries? Online at marianaspress.com, on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and WhatsApp as it happens.
I'm out of here. I'm sorry, I'm out. I don't want to tolerate this thing anymore. This is too much.
We ask the hard questions.
What about
Some
those
say
who say, our economy
it's an
is down?
instant gratification to us.
We practice responsible journalism, taking local coverage to new heights, powered by you. This is Mariana's Press, where every voice finds its story.